South Africans are not imagining that there's a problem. These are really valid concerns, and over the years we have taken significant steps to address the migration system. And I see you have Minister Schreiber coming up next, so he would be able to speak to the continuation of some of the reforms that we are beginning to see in them.
South Africa and Nigeria are looking to reset relations. That's after a high-level diplomatic mission to Abuja led by International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola. The talks addressed concerns over organized crime, migration, and even the rule of law, while both governments reaffirmed their commitment to stronger bilateral ties as well as Pan-African cooperation. Minister, I'd be remiss, though, if I didn't ask you about Chidima Adetshina and her 3-year-old son's case, in which they're taking you, the Director General, as well as the department, to the Western Cape High Court. That case said to be heard on the 28th of August. Your response, perhaps, to the allegations that Home Affairs violated their rights?
Hello, fellow Africans. My name is Lillian, and I appreciate you for clicking on today's video. I will appreciate a like. Feel free to hit the subscribe button, and remember, you can comment in the comment section of the video. Yesterday, I came across so many videos of my fellow Nigerians celebrating. According to them, the president of Nigeria rejected President Ramaphosa from visiting Nigeria. So because of that, they're happy. Like I always said, my country is a very big country. And I realized that over the years, we have been misrepresented. This time around, some of us are tired. Because I realized that when people want to discriminate against you as a Nigerian, they're not going to ask you which part of Nigeria you are from, what are your interests, what are you losing and gaining. So for that reason, I am done allowing a particular group of Nigerians to keep representing me. I will be speaking out for myself from time to time. Yeah, so I woke up this morning to this video. Let's get into it, and I'll see you later in the video.
South Africa and Nigeria are looking to reset relations. That's after a high-level diplomatic mission to Abuja led by International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola. The talks addressed concerns over organized crime, migration, and even the rule of law, while both governments reaffirmed their commitment to stronger bilateral ties as well as Pan-African cooperation. Now, to get to the outcomes of that visit and what it means for relations between the two countries, we're joined by the spokesperson for the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, Crispin Piri. Crispin, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it as well. Landed just this morning, right? So this is a fresh one off the top here. Let's just talk about what the mood was like and the sentiment was like with our Nigerian counterparts. One imagines that things have been a little bit tense despite communication between the two countries.
Yes, indeed. We were received by a very high-level delegation from the Nigerian government, which included officials from the intelligence services as well as defense services and the foreign ministry. And it helped us have a constructive conversation around the matters of mutual concern between the two countries. Minister Lamola was quite emphatic around some of the issues that have been lingering for some time amongst the South African populace, particularly concerning some of the conduct of Nigerian nationals. And whilst it's not all of the Nigerian nationals that have really given the Nigeria a bad name in the country, South Africans are very concerned about this. And so it was important for us to have a candid conversation about matters of mutual concern. The Nigerian delegation was also quite clear that, of course, they don't condone any actions, illegal actions by the citizens in countries where they are hosted. But, of course, this doesn't mean that every Nigerian should be painted with the same brush. And, of course, we agree. We also went into a number of very important matters around how we can cooperate to address some of these issues moving forward between the two countries. And so the discussions were very robust, Arabil, and they were very candid about the matters that affect both nations.
So what are the solutions that came out of it? I mean, what in the end was agreed upon? Because while we can have all those issues being discussed, is it agreed then that both countries will do their absolute best to ensure that illegal immigration between the two countries doesn't necessarily happen, and that even if one is seen to have conducted criminal offenses, that they will be deported immediately to Nigeria and the like, those kind of solutions in the end? Yeah,
interesting that you raised that. One of the things we picked up whilst we're in Nigeria is on their news platforms, one of the journalists was saying that Nigerians are not allowed to leave the country even if they want to leave freely, because they get detained at the airport and then they get sent to Lindela. And that's one of the things we had to really clarify, to say, if you want to leave the country, you are most welcome to leave the country. However, if you are wanted for a crime, the government of South Africa reserves the right to detain you and process you, and ensure that you go through the criminal justice system. So people, the acting consulate or the acting high commissioner for Nigeria has got access to Lindela if they're Nigerians that he wants to visit there and check the conditions under which they're detained. He has absolutely every opportunity to do so, and we will be able to facilitate that. But one of the agreements moving forward was that we will agree to de-escalate the inflammatory rhetoric between the two nations. I think you would have seen some statements have been made from Nigeria and vice versa around some of the things that have been happening. And so we've agreed to de-escalate the inflammatory rhetoric. But also importantly, we have stressed that we need to sign what we had agreed to previously, which is called an early warning mechanism, which allows us to flag issues of mutual concern early between the two nations and address it immediately. So if, for example, we see that the Igbo incident in Eastern Cape where the Nigerian nationals were trying to install a king, that's a matter that really aggravated South Africans. Those are issues that we need to quickly be able to address bilaterally. Where we continuously see infractions of any kind between the two countries, this early warning mechanism will be able to ensure that both countries mutually address this issue. And like you say, migration is an important factor in any country's relations, but we are very clear about the type of migrants that we want. We want the best of any country to come and help us build our economy and vice versa. So we want to ensure that our visa regime is enforced in a manner that is mutually acceptable for both countries.
Do you think that changes the kind of conversations that then can be had with Nigerian officials, especially with regards to this? And I guess maybe even other countries as well, whether you need a similar conversation across the board here, because their fear would certainly be that we're just looking to be xenophobic, whereas it was actually just the rule of law that really was in question, and that many South Africans were actually complaining about. It was just containing and dealing with the rule of law.
No, and this is something that we've said. We've always said that the concerns of South Africans are valid. South Africans are not imagining that there's a problem. These are really valid concerns, and over the years we have taken significant steps to address the migration system. And I see you have Minister Schreiber coming up next, so he would be able to speak to the continuation of some of the reforms that we are beginning to see in the migration system, starting back from the establishment of the Border Management Authority itself. The very fact that we've established that shows you that there was always an understanding that the system needs to be reformed. And so these are genuine concerns, but these are conversations that we must continue to have. When we speak about Pan-African solidarity, this is what we mean: solving problems together, not finger-pointing, pointing fingers at each other and blaming each other for some of the problems, but solving problems together, but also having a candid discussion about what leads to people moving from their countries. Unfortunately, in most of the cases in Africa, is that people don't move or don't migrate by choice. They migrate out of necessity. So let's have that discussion. There are matters of climate change that make it necessary for people to move because of famine, but there's also matters of political instability that can be addressed at the level of the AU. So we are quite clear that this discussion is very necessary also at the level of the AU in a manner that then helps us to resolve the root causes of the number of issues that make African migrants move across the continent.
The minister is part of the IMC on migration as well, and the conversations now have been around a locals first sort of plot to get more locals first in manufacturing, in the workspace, etc. How exactly is that set to work? And does that not fear creating the very same issue you've tried to deal with Nigeria and many other countries, and alienate them even further and make them feel as though we're not welcoming them into the economy?
One of the challenges that we have seen in the South African economy is that it still does have the exploitative practices of the previous era. So what do I mean by that? There is a tendency of taking undocumented migrants, hiring them at a practice that is far lower than what is acceptable, and exploiting them. That is unacceptable. And through the IMC, particularly the Department of Labor, that is something that the president, even in his SONA speech, had highlighted to crack down on. Remember the announcement of 10,000 labor inspectors. That is what informed it, that we need to ensure that where people are hired, they are documented and they are not exploited. That's one of the issues that we're going to really take up and we've been taking up. But also, it's not uncommon for governments to reserve certain sectors of the economy exclusively for their nationals. We've seen the same in Ghana, where there are some industries where they say we will give preference to Ghanaian nationals, for example, in these type of industries.
Sure.
So it's not uncommon to ensure that there are some industries where you want to see your citizens participating in. And in the small and medium enterprises sector, that is what we intend to do. That is why we create a criteria that if you're a foreign national and you want to participate in a particular sector, you have to bring an investment.
Sure.
And that is quite clear. So it's not uncommon, it's not an alienating practice, but it is a practice that ensures that we're able to create jobs and we're able to attract the type of migrants that we want as well into our economy.
Minister, I'd be remiss, though, if I didn't ask you about Chidima Adechina and her 3-year-old son's case, in which they're taking you, the Director General, as well as the department, to the Western Cape High Court. That case said to be heard on the 28th of August. Your response, perhaps, to the allegations that Home Affairs violated their rights?
Well, I think the court will have to settle that matter. I don't want to get into a live court dispute. Of course, we as Home Affairs are opposing that case and we are making our submissions through that particular process. But what I think is important to point out is that any allegation or perception that South Africa's immigration system does not work towards the rule of law is actually put to bed because people have the right to go to court. And I think the case demonstrates that we don't take arbitrary action. We don't deny anyone the right to go to court and have their day in court. But at the same time, we have a dispute here. We disagree. And the work that has been done by Home Affairs has resulted in the uncovering of some South African who had her identity stolen by the mother in this particular case, and then a series of other steps that have been effected precisely to enforce the rule of law without fear or favor. So I think it is important to say that the concept of someone being able to go to court precisely puts to bed the suggestion that South Africa somehow does not have these mechanisms in place, while at the same time we can have a clear dispute on the facts, and we certainly hope that the court will settle this matter so that we can move forward.
Exactly. There was no rejection whatsoever by the president of Nigeria, because for heaven's sake, the president of Nigeria is not there to represent just a particular group of Nigerians. He is for every Nigerian, including me. I dislike criminality. You explain it from morning till night. South Africans have done this, they have done that. To me, they have done nothing that I wouldn't do. If I was in the shoes of South Africans, I would have done so much more than what they have done. The only difference between me and people like Jacinta is I would have acted longer than they did. I would not have waited for so long before acting, because whatever is not stopping today, there are chances that it's not going to stop. So to each and everyone coming to celebrate, boo boo, boo boo, this is a man that they hate so much. The only time they love, this group of Nigerians loves our president, is when it looks to them like he's supporting their bad behaviors. Anyway, that era is gone. Yeah, so there you have it. Just like you saw in the video, the president of Nigeria did not reject Ramaphosa's visit to Nigeria. And to begin with, it was not the president of South Africa that's supposed to visit. So when you see them jubilate, all because you want to support the criminality of your fellow Nigerians, I want it to be known that Nigeria does not belong to the criminals alone. Nigeria belongs to all of us. Those of us that believes in one step at a time, those of us that are content with the little we have, is the president to the criminals, the propagandists, the honest ones. So to each and every one that was celebrating yesterday, I hope that this video puts you to rest. The government of Nigeria and the government of South Africa has no bad blood going on between them. So the diplomatic relationship between South Africa and Nigeria that some of my fellow Nigerians want to see destroyed by all means is still standing strong. Nothing will happen to that relationship, even though the criminal ones among us have successfully plant the seed of hatred in the hearts of people because they have broken people's spirits. And because of that, a lot of people no longer care to know if you are of good conscience or not. As long as you are a Nigerian, you are all the same. That is okay, but even at that, some of us will still stand out here and make it known to the whole world that the president of Nigeria is not only representing the criminal ones among us, but everyone, including the good and the bad. and some of us will no longer keep quiet. And the issue of Chidinma has been addressed. I don't know why this issue is just here and there. I mean, go back to your country if you love Nigeria so much. I keep saying that I do not hate Nigeria. I only wish I'm not a Nigerian, not because Nigeria as a country is not a good country, but because of my fellow Nigerians. I am yet to see a country where criminality is normalized like the way we do. And I want you to know, if you are a government official of any country, the government of my country does not support our people that are caught committing crimes. By the ways, I came across that video of Ireti Bakari that is helping the Nigerians in South Africa carry out their propaganda. You know, I've done videos in the past where I talked about how some tribes in Nigeria collaborates. One will do the committing of the crimes and the other tribe will help them in gaslighting you. They do it this way by telling you, you cannot label all of us. You cannot generalize all of us. Yet they see nothing wrong with what their fellow Nigerians are doing. They don't want you to complain. I am not one of those two. This is where the bad news comes in for them. Ireti was so confident. Nigerians are not being allowed to leave the country. That is, of course, it's not every country that has normalized crime like we have done. If you commit a crime in South Africa, regardless of your nationality, you are not allowed to go. I don't know why it's taking people this long to know that breaking immigration rules is a crime, even if it is done in our neighboring countries like Benin Republic and Cameroon. Breaking immigration law is a crime. But the Nigerian journalists whom I thought, at least there's a Nigerian in South Africa to bring us real reports without propaganda, without being emotional. I didn't know she would go to South Africa and come back with lies. If me becoming a liar, supporting things I know I cannot take, would make me a patriotic Nigerian, please, I will advise you count me out. I am not patriotic. So here are a few things I don't allow people to force me to do. You cannot force me to support what is wrong, something I know I cannot take, and you cannot force me to go to church. These are things that people can no longer force me to do. My fellow Africans from South Africa, I'm not saying that you should love us. I know that some of our people have broken your spirits, but I want you to know something. There are Nigerians that would never support bad things, even though they will not be able to come outside to talk about it because it means so many things. You're going to be cancelled. They will threaten you. They will isolate you. So because of that, not a lot of people are willing to lose friends. So you might see that nobody is talking, but I'm happy you're seeing a few Nigerians on here standing on nothing but fact. And I would like you to know that one day we might not stand with you, and that is fine. But for now, you are right, and we'll stand with you. Thank you all for watching this video. Long live Nigeria. Long live South Africa. Long live Africa.